The year is over, Chad. 2023 is done. I still can't believe it. Okay, the four at the end of everything doesn't really feel real. I was updating my site for the schedule and stuff, and I kept writing 2023 for all the dates, and I realized very late last night at like 4 a.m. And so I had to fix all the dates. But now we're in the new year. It's kind of interesting to sort of think about because like the year has kind of been a blur, and it's kind of been like insanely interesting to see how the year has like gone. Interesting, not in necessarily the just the good way, but also just a lot of things happen, right? I'm only gonna be talking from like a personal standpoint as well. And I don't know if it's because of old age or anything, or just due to all the things that have happened, but every single year has gotten faster and faster and faster, right? And now this year is no exception. This feels like the shortest year of all time, yet also the longest year. It's been in a weird space where I just kind of forgot what time is like. One day I wake up and all of a sudden, oh, it's October. I have to plan Halloween games. It's December. I should get some Christmas games. The year is over. That's the only 2 moments that I really remember. I don't even remember my own birthday, right? Not because we didn't celebrate it, but because time is just meaningless now. I feel like time is just sort of going. But the giant primordial soup of time is delicious. It's full of tasty memories that I want to slip up. I should have cut that actually. Okay, I meant to cut that. I meant to edit this before we went live. But this is a sort of a year in review page. This is gonna be on the website soon once I'm done with it. This is just sort of like a small presentation version of it, because I wanted to sort of share this with all of you, because all of us have shared many great times on the channel, and I can't believe I've been doing this for a year in total now. It's kind of weird to think about that I've been doing this for like a year in total, or like close to a year. It's like 8, 9 months, 10 months. I mean, who's counting, really? I don't know time anymore. I really don't. Did you know that January is the first month of the year? I still don't know the order of months. Why? Because I skipped a grade. Yeah, I skipped a grade where they taught us the order of months. And fractions. I still don't know fractions. Well, I know fractions now, but I don't know the order of months. It's useless. And it's interesting to sort of look back and see, like, where it all started versus now. I remember when I first started, I really only started this to sort of like stream to my wife and my friends. And then, just hitting go live was very anxiety inducing, because I was like, it was the only way to really share the game in a higher quality than like say Discord without paying for it. Basically, that's literally the whole reason. But it was scary because you don't really know what's going to happen. It's like my first time doing it. It's like, oh man, like, how am I able to keep up like a conversation and like stuff? And it ended up being like a good time. People just had fun with it. My friends had fun with it, and then people started pouring in. From that go live button, poured out an endless cesspool of debauchery and depravity that scientists today still can't believe has been locked up in a literal Pandora's box we cast away into the depths of the earth to spare us from it. From that button came you, dear viewers, all of you, every single one of you, the most evil thing to ever appear in my life, all of you. Also, there's a note from there, down at the bottom of there. It's just, it's from my psychiatrist. She said I should probably emphasize that you like. She already says this. She already says, Stick, look, Twitch chat isn't real. There's no such thing as Twitch. There's no such thing as chat viewers. They're not real. They're not talking to you. It's just figments of your imagination. I'm like, what she know, right? Anyways, I truly do mean a dear viewer, right? Like, truly, honestly. Without any irony in the slightest, because without you, none of this would have been half as enjoyable as it has been thus far. I don't know where you all came from. I don't know why you all stay. And I don't know why you show up today, especially, all the days that I show up, because I'm always late. I always cancel at the last minute. And that was supposed to be, that next line was supposed to be a note. It's not a rhyme. I just happened to rhyme these. Okay, just whatever. Just ignore that. This is all supposed to be edited last night. But I can't thank you enough for being here, hanging out with me as I try to show you some of the weirdest shit I could find on the internet. It's been fun. Very, very fun to sort of just like, I don't know, put on like a show as best as I can. And just have a space to sort of like, I don't know, just like hang out. I remember one viewer said specifically that streaming is a lot like being the older brother and when you're playing games with all of your younger siblings. And then but only you get the controller. Right? Or you're like playing games with your friends, but you've got like one single like keyboard, mouse, or controller, and like you're the person at the helm. And those are the best times. Not because I like to have fun without all of you. I'm just shit. Okay, maybe this is making me sound bad. What I'm trying to say is, it's fun to share in these moments with all of you, and it's fun to sort of like hang out in the space. And I even enjoy watching streams, right? Like, I understand the sort of joy that comes from being a parasocial parasite. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking. No, man. No, but it is fun. It's fun to just hang out, watch, people play things, just sort of like taking the experience with everyone, And this is some of the most interactive. This is one of the most interactive hobbies that I've had in like forever, I think. Usually my hobbies tend to be very solo hobbies, right? Arts and crafts or programming or something. This, talking to all of you has been amazing, right? It means a lot for me, and I don't take it for granted, right? You've all shared amazing stories with me. Stories, the highs and lows of your life, how strange life has been for you, and how wonderful it's been for you too. And I recognize that. I very much appreciate that, because it's conversation that I never thought I'd be able to have with anybody, but especially with like just people around the entire world, right? I mean, all of you are from everywhere around the entire world. I get to learn so much about where you live, what's going on in your lives, how are things going. I get to learn so much about you, the individual, as well, and see different viewpoints on their life. I always say this, but I feel like I very much agree with Anthony Bourdain when he said like, every American should have like a passport, but replace American with like person, and replace passport with the means to interact with others. Basically, that's what he was trying to like say. He wasn't just saying like go to Japan every month, even though I would love to. I would very much love to. What he was trying to say was interacting with people outside of your own personal space is good for you. Do you know why? Do you know why, chat? Pop quiz! It's because you get to see different viewpoints in life. It's because you get to understand people. You get to understand what, everything is. And, you taking time out of your day to share that with me is very important to me. It's something that I don't take for granted. It's why I'm always sort of like annoyed at myself whenever I'm late, because I try not to be. I just have a terrible sleep schedule. But I do very much appreciate it, and I'm very glad that all of you are very funny as well. So it's been very fun. Happy to have been the British voice in your head. Exactly. Thank you. You even showed me. You even got the first email star, and you showed me some delicious food. I forgot to name the food, but I remember what it looks like. I can imagine what it tastes like, because I've eaten all those I've eaten all those ingredients one at a time before. But thank you. Right? Because, again, this year has been crazy. I don't think anyone could have anticipated what the year brought. This past year has been the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, right? And every year it seems to me that the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, the gap between those widens. The highs get higher and the lows always get lower. Life has never been more complicated than in these trying times, yet in spite of it all, you've all made the effort to show up every moment. And we shared that we shared together on the stream. Even when I tell you not to for your sake. And I tell you not to because, life is complicated. I want you all to sort of take care of yourselves first. But the fact that you're all here, I very much appreciate it. Like, seriously, thank you. Seriously, thank you. Without you, this would not have been even like half as enjoyable. Without you, all of this would have been for naught. Right? This is not to say that I wouldn't not do this. I would still do this even if you weren't here. But you've all made it infinitely more enjoyable. Because all of you are infinitely amazing people to share these moments with. And so I appreciate all of you. Giant Yorkshire pudding. That's it. Yeah. Giant Yorkshire pudding. I was like, I was thinking, I don't know why. I just kept thinking of beef Wellington. Like, I was like, in my head, I was like, it's like a softer beef Wellington if the bread wasn't as like crispy. But yes, giant Yorkshire pudding. But thank you, all of you. I really do appreciate it. And I enjoy interacting with all of you as well. So thank you always for showing up. I also did like a timeline of like how this whole channel started. It's interesting to sort of go back and see what I did at the start as well. Like, literally, this is the first 2 ever uploaded videos, and then I wrote here just so I wouldn't forget. For context, I just woke up one day. I just wanted to try out like video editing. I was just kind of like in the mood to try out like a new hobby. And then I just made the Pounded ASMR video. That video took me 4 hours to make. It's not even hard to make. I just didn't understand how to do transformations across the entire timeline. I just didn't understand. So I was doing each and every single zoom in on its own. And it's because it slowly zooms in over like 1 hour. It slowly zooms into the pounding animation for 1 hour. And I didn't know how to do that easily. It just took me 4 hours. Now I know. Now I know a bit too much. So from humble beginnings to whatever this is. It's the shitstorm of today. It's a lot of videos. It's interesting sort of looking back and seeing how many streams we've had together, how many moments we shared. Like each of these is a moment that we shared live on stream chat. Jeez. Ranked in order of highest to lowest viewed, okay? Which, you know, it's kind of interesting to see that a lot of you enjoy. It's really hard to see. I can't zoom. Sorry, it's on the webpage. A lot of you enjoy the Coffin of Andy and Lele. A lot of you enjoy Factorio. I don't know why. Like, we are now at the point where I think 30% of the viewership is just here for Factorio. And so if you're here just for Factorio, I'm sorry, but that's probably on today's Friday. That's probably on Sunday. And then all of you, and also 20% of you are here for Astra Libra, which I'm very happy about because that game is also getting a DLC. I'll get into that in the 2024 upcoming look section. This is all, I didn't plan this script at all, so just bear with me. But I guess what? YouTube has a little counter. It's 298 full playthrough videos and VODs. 298. And there's only like 2 or 3 sort of like stream related videos. Of like, you know, before I stop uploading stream videos to here, and you know, I'm gonna upload the stream videos to a separate channel. So there's even more moments that we've shared. A lot of moments. Because we also talk outside of playing games, right? We talk in these just chatting segments. I'm actually just like on the like, you know, chat when it's offline too. There is not Discord yet. There probably won't be for a while. I actually rethought it. It's kind of hard to like do just by myself. I'm just one single person, so. But it's a lot. I didn't really think that it was so much. And I never thought that I'd get this far. Like, seriously, this was just meant to be a quick 5 minutes in and out type of thing. I do it on the side. I focus on other things. This was really meant to be like a way for me to get my weird ideas out, because I wake up very often with a weird idea. And if you go through my phone, there's a bunch of nonsense. I just I record myself. So I used to take notes by typing things down. But have you ever tried to type when you're like half asleep? It's really, really hard. So what I ended up doing instead was I started to record myself. So you just see a bunch of videos of like pitch darkness, right? And I'm just like I'm humming out tunes. I'm like doing like weird drum beats with my mouth, and I'm saying things like, "Get Bernie Sanders to eat with me at dinner." I'm like, what is this? But there's gonna be some interesting ideas that I want to see if I can execute on them, just to sort of, you know, it's like a fun thing. But listen, I'm glad that I took that first step, and I'm glad I'm here with all of you. I'm glad that I met all of you, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Even if you weren't all here, I'd still be doing this. It's just that fun. It's a fun thing that I haven't been able to describe very well ever to anyone, right? It's not the feeling it's not that feeling you will get when you execute on something big or small, right? That feeling of like being able to overcome some sort of challenge. It's not that. Nor is it the feeling of putting something out there in public and sharing it with others, right? I'm not an exhibitionist, I don't think, right? You know, those two feelings are immensely satisfying in their own ways, but those aren't the reasons why I sort of do this, right? And sort of, I realize now, it's probably that feeling that Frankenstein got when they created their monster and let it loose upon the world to wreak havoc on unsuspecting souls like you who happen upon this channel, right? And, you know, just a note down there of what I actually mean. The feeling of freedom and expression that comes with being able to be creative on your own terms, you know, do things that intimately mean the space I'm able to carve out for myself in the world. But you all make it much more enjoyable, right? It's fascinating to see how many people are interested in what I do. I can see how oddly intoxicating it can be. Not in the sense that it is for me, but in the sense that, like, I understand why people get addicted to like clout now, right? Like, it's very easy to lull yourself into the feeling of like, wow, clout translates into something. But really, I'm just here being, and I like sharing this because like you guys enjoy it, right? Like I like sharing this stuff because somebody out there enjoys it, and if somebody else enjoys it, it puts a smile on my face. But also, it's just fun to like do. It's just really fun to sort of do all this and just sort of be like weird. And I'm glad that some of you find this weirdness, you know, fun. I don't know why. I really don't know why. But hey, I'm glad that all of you show up for... there's always something new every single day, right? You go from Factorial to Astra Libra to House Flipper. You never really know. To some weird random golf horror game. You never really know. And this year has been interesting. You know, I've grown to know all of you in a lot of various different ways, and I'm glad I would get to hang out. You know, I said this before, but seriously, thank you, all of you. You all really did make these moments very, very enjoyable. Much more enjoyable. I'm not very eloquent. Sorry. So, I also decided to do a little recap of the stats. So, what did we do this year? Okay, this is gonna be crazy, because this also kind of blew my mind. For context, I'm not working at the moment because there's no opportunities, and I'll get into that in the 2024 section. That's why the time that you're going to see is kind of insane. I streamed. I did 200 streams this year, over 1,200 hours. Okay, that's not even like, and that's not a mistake. I didn't. That's not like an estimation of like something. I counted this up manually by going over, because Twitch has like a statistics on the dashboard and like analytics, and you kind of see how much you like do of anything, right? So we streamed 200 hours. We streamed over 1,200 hours, over 200 streams. Okay, this is the Twitch recap page that I had. Thankfully, my KDA for hours watched is pretty good. Okay, I would be kind of sad if my KDA for hours watched is below 1.0. Right? It's like I don't know, like if you have a KDA of 1.0, then you're kind of a monster, right? Like 1 kill for 1 death, that's pretty good. 1 hour watched for 1 hour streamed, that's pretty good, right? I am at 1.8 KDA for my stream hours. You've all collectively watched 900 hours more than I've streamed. I don't know why, but I thank you. Also, I'm very glad that I have exactly 200 streams. Look at the number. It's so nice and even. I don't know. I have an obsession with even numbers. There's also a bunch of clips that I need to sort of like transfer. So I actually tried to find the clips. I don't even know how to find the clips as the person who has like clips on Twitch. And then I tried to do it from my wife's computer, because I was like, what does it look like as like a viewer? It's impossible. So I'll be moving them to like shorts or like something to make it easier. And I streamed 5 categories. I don't know why it says 5. I feel like we streamed a lot of categories. But yeah, this one blew my mind because, again, for context, a typical 8-hour work schedule, full-time 8-hour work schedule, is about 2,000 hours in the year, at least in Canada, because we don't have enough holidays. We don't celebrate Independence Day, because we're not independent. We're British. We're British. By the way, when my wife and I were going out to eat for the new year, we did pass over the Beaver Dam battle site. That's probably gonna somewhat not really dox me. I mean, it's not doxing someone. It's literally on the border, right? But the Beaver Dam battle site, if you didn't know, was where Americans, filthy Americans, tried to invade Canada. And at the time, Canada was a British, place. And so the British were informed by a single woman who traveled all the way from her little township of someplace for like days to tell the British commander, and we fought back the Americans. What do you say in Britain? We've even fired the voice. God save the... Is it the king now? God save the king. Yeah. So I've almost streamed as long as I would have worked, right? Or as I have worked in like previous years. I'm basically 800 hours away from working a full-time job, unlike this. We've started 130 games, not completed, not played through. We started roughly 130 games, roughly. I tried to count it, it's just manual counting. Yeah, this includes all the small demos and like one-shot games that we played, the games that we finished in one section, the shorter games, and also just like, just stuff that like isn't done yet. That's a lot, right? 130 is a lot, even for most people, but even for me. I'm the kind of guy who can play one single game for all the time. I used to play a lot of Diablo 2 basically for an entire year. I basically just never stopped playing that game for an entire year, once in 2018, out of pure addiction. And, it's fascinating to sort of see me go through so many different types of games and me not finishing any games, because if you may notice down here, we only finished about 20 games. We haven't even finished demos, okay? So I actually went through this. Out of all the non-demo, non-one-shot games, we finished 4 of them. The Coffin of Andy and Lele, Remnant 2, the base game, Resident Evil 4. I don't even remember the other one. Yeah, I don't even remember the other one. Oh, Slay the Princess. That's it. Those are 4 games that we completed that were not like just demo games, basically, right? And if you include the one shot plus the demos, it's only 20. And so I wrote LMAO. I can't believe this is real. But yeah, I went over the list of games, and like only 20 were actually sort of like done. I drop games very often. We're gonna finish all of the games that we started this year because we need to finish a bunch of games. Oh, I did finish Zelda. Sorry, yeah. So the fifth one. Yeah. So 5 games, 5 non one-shot games. Oh, actually, yeah. Celesteria Princess was basically a one-shot. Yeah. Whatever. That's semantics. Basically, we haven't finished many games. This year, we're going to be completing a lot more games. One, because... Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's not because I want to finish them. Like, I do enjoy them and I do want to finish them, but it's also because a lot of the games that we're going to be playing, we're currently playing the prequels to the new releases in the new year, and there's new games that I want to sort of add to that list. So we're gonna have to finish the game choice. God Save the King, a national anthem. God Save a Gracious King. Wait, really? God Save a Gracious King. Long live a noble king. God Save the King. Send them victorious, happy and glorious, long to reign over us. God Save the King. Wow, you guys are an aristocracy. I need to listen to that national anthem, because it I can't even imagine what it would sound like. Didn't I finish Redmond 2? Yes, I did. Yeah, so that's good in the now five games. OMG, we didn't find the gate. Where's Baldur? We haven't found the gates. Yeah. We're gonna finish Baldur's Gate in this year. So basically, the entire month of January is gonna be dedicated to finishing games, and also some weird ideas. So basically, I'm gonna go over this more in the 2024 section, but basically, expect the stream schedule to be like, 1 or 2 days a week where we do like a bunch of weird games that I find, just because like I can't wait to play them, and then we're gonna finish games one after the other. Okay, like we're gonna go in like a fun little gauntlet, because I also want to see the Baldur's Gate. I'm like, who is Baldur? We don't know who is Baldur. Imagine the sad happy birthday song. This is how the national anthem sounds. That's so sad, but that sounds so British. I like that. I like that a lot. That's a very good, that's a very good description of it, because that sounds exactly what I would expect it to like sound like. Imagine a sad happy birthday song. That's good. Interestingly, during this year also, we had the 3 IRL streams, roughly, like 3. I'm pretty sure it was only 3. We'll have more and like stuff. I didn't count the reading in this because I have bigger plans for the reading. Again, sorry, the reading stuff will take a while. VOA chat is surprisingly hard to make a world in, especially when you have no 3D talent, and when you're just picking assets from online sources that are copyright free. Okay, but I love those segments. It's so fun to just do things that are on games too. I also fixed all the issues with the mic blowing the fuck out, so my bad, chat. All of your ears were like demolished last time when we made pizza and like stuff. It's a really sick setup. I'm really excited about it. So expect more weird IRL stuff soon. We're not turning into a prank channel. We are not turning into a prank channel. I don't mean IRL as in like we're gonna be obnoxious. I just mean that we're gonna be doing some more fun things. Let's bring back mukbang. That's exactly why I wrote this line. This is for you. But no more rotten frozen food. I'm gonna die. Seriously, I almost died eating the rotten ravioli. I'm gonna die. we're not doing mukbangs anymore. There's no more mukbangs. There are no. Okay, maybe there's a mukbang if it's good food. There's a mukbang. Okay. I still don't know what exactly the IRL streams are going to be like either. I have some ideas for arts and crafts things I wanted to do for like a while that I was just gonna do by myself, but like I have no attention span, and I thought it'd be fun for all of you to like see it too. We're gonna be building like model homes, like not like I'm not going out to build an entire house. The like small ones. You know what I mean? I sound like a spokesperson for Habitats for Humanity. We're gonna build a home. Actually, it would be cool. If I ever could do an IRL stream where we build a home with Habitats for Humanity, I would love to do that. Can I build the Rivendell Lego set? What is that? That sounds sick. What is that? Wait. Rivendell Lego set. How do you know this? The Lord of the Rings of Rivendell. My brother in Christ is $600. What do you mean? You do understand that if I build this set, right, we won't be able to do anything ever again for the rest of the year. This is the entire yearly budget that I put towards streaming gone. But it does look kind of sick though. Holy shit. Okay, I can build like a knockoff version. I'll find a knockoff version on like on AliExpress or like something. I feel like that's like a very good, compromise, right? Because it does look kind of cool. I'm like staring at it. I can't show you because it's Lego. It's copyright. But it does look cool. I'll add that to the list, okay? Remember, if you want to see me build Rivendell, be sure to drop a package full of money at my doorstep. This is my address. But one stat that is very interesting to me, that's very important, that I accidentally spoiled because I scrolled too far because my head's in the way. There have been a countless number of happy little moments shared with every single person who watches me, who is here to hang out with me, right? And again, I'm glad that you're all very, very funny and that you're all very, very your own personalities. And again, people always downplay their own personalities. I always see this all the time. But all of you have something that's absolutely enjoyable about you. And I enjoy that, or I appreciate that all of you feel like this is a safe space to be who you are, right? I'm glad that I'm able to foster that feeling. I don't know how, concerning the things that I do and say, but I'm glad that all of you do feel like this is a safe space to be who you are, because that's ideally what I want it to be, right? I don't know why you guys feel safe around me, because guys, I hyperfixate on like feet. Guys, I hyperfixated on a game about, potentially sleeping with your sister. Like, I don't understand. I got stuck in Liege, I played Truck Simulator. Why is this your safe space? I don't understand. I built a fake Walmart in a game. But all of those add to the moments, right? Because again, while there's been a couple of moments, I guess, from me, it's been mostly moments from you guys, from the interactions that I've had during the chat. And they've been so immensely entertaining. I can't recall a specific one, but not because they weren't, incredibly entertaining and satisfying and just overall fun to sort of be a part of, but because there's simply so many of them. There's simply so many of them that I can't recall even a single one. They all sort of mesh together into this kind of wave of happiness almost, right? It just feels fun, So thank you to all of you. And here's the finally escaping Liege, because if you didn't know, in the last Euro Truck, when I played it for the Christmas stuff offline, I finally escaped Liege. I actually got, no joke, I got American Truck Simulator. I got American Truck Simulator because it was on sale. I'm addicted. Oh, I'm addicted. But yeah, I'm currently based in San Diego in the game. I'm really hoping to make it over to either Kansas or New York. I don't know if there's a New York name, but I'm determined to go there. It is such a good game. It really is a good game. It really is. And it's fascinating to sort of play it, because I didn't think driving would be so fun. And listen, I like Europe, but I love America, baby. But also, every end of the year list should probably have a list of things that you've done or you've played. You'll see me on the road, brother. I'll see you on the road, brother. Welcome to I forget what the I think the name of my company is currently Rim. It's currently Rim Job. But yeah, you'll see Rim Job on the road. But yeah, sorry, I had to take a breath because I was stuttering more. Every one of these lists is gonna have an end of the year sort of what games I liked. It's not games of the year because we saw what happened on Steam. It seems to have been a popularity contest. This is just games that I liked. There's no real, it's not necessarily my games of the year. They're just games that I happen to remember as liking a lot from this year. And also, I can't call it game of the year because I haven't finished most of these games. Again, we've only finished 20 games. Where is it? Only 20 games finished. Okay, so I can only say that I like these games. I also didn't really know how to lay out this section, so I just kind of ass blasted. I just kind of threw the images everywhere. Sorry. But there's been a lot of interesting games. Okay, World of Horror is still, in my mind, one of the most entertaining roguelite sort of text-based adventure games in a while. It reminds you of old school kind of text-based adventure games, right? It has some interactive elements, but I think a lot of the fun is that it plays a lot like an MUD, which is a multiplayer something user, I don't know. It's basically like a text game, basically like a text MUD where you have to type in commands to do stuff and stuff. It reminds me of that style of game. It feels very old school. It feels very, very fun, and the stories are genuinely very interesting, right? Again, it's maybe because I didn't really grow up with these kinds of mythological stories, because a lot of it is based on real stuff too. Not real, the monsters aren't real. The scissor lady isn't real, but she's based on a real story. But I find the story sort of very, very interesting, sort of get lost in. It has repetitive moments, sure, because you can see you can encounter the same thing over and over and over until you unlock more things. By the way, I lost my save. I didn't know that it doesn't have cloud saves, so I lost my save. But at the very least, it was at least entertaining, and still is entertaining as soon as you find newer stuff. It's also very addicting to play. It's why we haven't played it in like a while, and I do intend to play it a bit more, but I don't know how much longer we can play it because again, I get addicted to that games very, very heavily. Lunacid was a fantastic game. I still think this is one of my tired games of the year. And it's weird because the game itself isn't really much to talk about, right? Like, the gameplay itself is very basic. It's like, basic in the sense of like Dark Souls almost, but even more than that, it's just because it's based off of like, Kingsfield and like stuff. But it's really the weird fantastical elements that it has, and the way that it meshes all of those together into like one sort of like overarching story, and the way that it sort of like allows those elements to play out through the gameplay. It's a concept that we've seen in other games, and we've seen it even before Undertale, in that one game that inspired it, like a long time ago. But this, just because you've seen it once, that doesn't mean that it's not enjoyable if you do it well again and again and again. And I think Lunacid definitely takes that to like a very interesting level with the way that it sort of integrates all of that into the overall core gameplay loop. Like, when you're just playing the game and you find a VHS tape, you're like, why is there a VHS tape in a game like this? And then you get like a weird projector screen of like you talking, somebody talking to you with like waves crashing over you as you're holding a sword in a vampire castle, and it says "Wake up from the dream" or something. You're like, what is going on? I will never. I get that. It's such a weird game, and I'm glad that we played it. I'm glad that I just saw it like randomly, and I was just like, yeah, I'll just play it. I'm glad that I just randomly found it, and I was like, all right, might as well try it, right? It's been one of the more impactful experiences because like it also introduced me to like a new developer, Akuma Kira, who all the games I like, they're in the section for the Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, of course. I love Breath of the Wild. Okay, I played Breath of the Wild for if the Switch had like a playtime thing, probably 200 hours, probably 100 hours. Again, a lot of fun in a game, just walking around and just like seeing things. I didn't stream Tears of the Kingdom very, very much because like I didn't want to be known as like just the dude who plays Tears of the Kingdom. But I really enjoyed just walking around, just seeing all the different side stories, seeing what's like out there, playing with the systems. I mean, you got to build a mecha. That's sick. I've seen a lot of like discourse on this game, right? In the sense of like it's a great game, but it's also like it feels like not that much of a jump in evolution in terms of what it did from the predecessor. And I agree, right? It very much is just Breath of the Wild with more features. But it still sticks out in my mind because those new features were so entertaining that like it kind of felt okay to just have it be its own thing. Even though I do wish it was just kind of like there. You'll see Road Warden up there. That's because it didn't release in 2023. From this year. So sorry, yeah, this list is only for games that released from this year. There's another section that I separated out. Because, okay, so basically, how do I explain this? I was gonna categorize it by when things came out of genres and stuff, and then I got lazy. So now there's only two categories. Games I liked from this year and games I liked from other years. So there's different things. But Road Warden is on here, unless I forgot to put the image. Then in which case, just imagine it's on here. I can't edit it now because it's a whole thing. The Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. This released earlier in the year, and I was very surprised when I played it. This is one of the first earliest streams. Again, this is where the 40% of Sonic fans came from. It's stupid fun. It's just very stupid fun, and it's funny to me. And like the writing is very sort of comical, right? It's the kind of lighthearted writing that you expect from a Sonic game, right? I don't know if you've ever played the Sonic games, but there was one Sonic game where it was like very edgy. I'm pretty sure it was with like Shadow or like something. I'm not a Sonic fan. Swear to God. I just know this from second-hand experience or third-hand experience from people around me. Swear to God, I don't play Sonic fans. I don't play Sonic games. I swear to God. But the writing in like this was so sort of like funny and just weird and so like balls to the walls. Like it just didn't take itself seriously. It was so insane to like go through. Right? It was just an overall enjoyable experience that was wrapped up in like a very nice package that didn't have the tiresome gameplay of like a typical Sonic game, right? It's much better than Sonic Frontiers, at least. The Coffin of Andy and Lele, I don't really know how to explain this. It's not for the obvious things that people point out in reviews. It's specifically because it's one of the more interesting sort of storylines I've seen tackled in any sort of medium. Right, let alone a visual novel. It's a storyline that you usually only see tackled in like traditional printed media, right? Usually, all the weird, crazy shit that you see comes in traditional printed media, right? Like, you will never get a game that has a storyline of Lolita, right? Of that book. Or you'll never have a game, even movies. You'll never have a game that has a storyline of the movie, like the Green End of the Green Mile or something. I don't know, something like that. Just really like fucked up shit, right? But this game decided to sort of take that and actually put it into like an interesting sort of format, a visual novel with some RPG light elements, right? It's an RPG mega game, I think. And it did it very, very well. It was actually surprisingly interesting to sort of see. The thing that stuck out to me the most with this game is that the story wasn't designed, and it was meant to shock you, but it wasn't meant to shock you just for the sake of it, right? Like, it's not like just randomly being flashed like two girls, one cup, right? Like, it's you're not just meant to be shocked for the sake of it. You're meant to sort of like be shocked and horrified because it is an actual important element to whatever the story is like going for, right? And you're meant to sort of like be desensitized to like much of it. And you even saw that in my playthrough when I just sort of casually sort of said, oh, like someone's dying again. Oh well. And I just kept going on this like railroad track towards my sister, right? My in-game sister, towards my in-game sister. Fuck. And you know, you rarely see games do that kind of stuff, but especially like visual novel games. Another sort of visual novel type game was Love Is All Around Us. I honestly, I didn't think this game would be so high up on the like list, but when I was thinking about it, this was one of the few games I remembered playing that I was like, wow, like I actually really enjoyed the way it kind of flowed. Mind you, I am a sucker for very generic, very, very basic sort of like romantic dramas or like romantic comedies and like stuff. I love that shit. Was it 500? Not 500. 300 First Dates. That's my jam. Is it 300 or is it 500? I don't know. I have whatever she had in that movie. Okay, whatever she had, I have that. How that like stuff like that is just so, I don't know, nice to me. It's just so fun to like play. It just feels so, I don't know, like nice, fuzzy, heart, and like heartwarming. But this game in particular, because it's like an FMV game too, the addition of the FMV with the weird writing. Sorry, I'm so gassy. With the weird writing, and like the way the writing sort of like didn't take itself seriously, ended up being much more entertaining than I thought it would be. And it stood out to me exactly because of that. It didn't take itself seriously, and it was just a fun experience, like sort of like go through. And it was great that we were able to cuck someone out of their ex-wife. It was really, really good. I actually really enjoyed that a lot. Tales and Tactics. I don't know what to say. I'm addicted to games that allow me to just like toss people and just allow them to do their own thing. I'm gonna include Legendary Creatures in this too, because these two games are basically cut from the same cloth, right? I really enjoy this type of genre of a game. We'll never play this type of genre of a game ever again on the stream because I don't want to subject all of you to it. But I like these kind of strategical games, and I like these kind of like weird sort of like experimental games in these spaces that sort of like try to take newer game mechanics, or even just like, you know, just new mechanics in general, and just try to make something out of it, and just try to make something, you know, interesting out of it. And I enjoy the complexity that comes with it, because sometimes you want like a very basic action game like Resident Evil 4. Other times you want like a more complex strategical game where you're trying to plan out to the very down to the granularity of like what stat you're going for, right? And like these two games fit that bill very, very well. It's like it's the kind of game that you like if you like numbers. I really like even numbers and not odd numbers. Resident Evil 4, it's the only reason I had this game on here, no joke, is because I grew up playing Resident Evil 4 as a kid. As a kid, there wasn't much money, so the PS2 was like the only console, right? And the only games were Okami and Resident Evil 4. Okay. I played the shit out of the original Resident Evil 4, and I didn't think that the remake would actually hold my attention at all. And then I played a demo on stream, and then I was like, wow, the demo was actually like freaking amazing. Well, actually no, it wasn't on the stream. I think I only streamed Resident Evil 4 once, and then I played the DLC on the stream. But I was like, this game does so much different from the actual base game, what it was before, that it's so entertaining that I couldn't put her down. It's interesting, right? Because like Resident Evil 4 didn't really need like a remake. The game still holds up, but the switch to like a more action-oriented sort of style of gameplay ended up being one of the best choices that they could have made, because it added so much depth, I think, to the moment-to-moment action in the game. and it had that same campiness of Resident Evil, right? The storyline, I enjoy the storyline. It's again, the Resident Evil storyline is kind of weird. It got weird around 6 or 7 or 4, I don't know, 5 or 6, I don't know. Whichever one where Chris punched the boulder. Whenever Chris punched a boulder, that was when I was like, okay, maybe the zombies are actually people, and like every other human is just infected, and they see people as like zombies, right? Because like there's no way a human can punch a boulder. Have you ever tried to punch a rock? I have as a kid. It hurts. I'm pretty sure I broke my knuckle then, because my knuckle is still kind of weird. All right. But that's why it's like up here. It's honestly just a genuinely very, very fun action game. Starfield, I meant to sort of... This was sort of like difficult to decide whether I liked it or like not. Because, you know, again, not every one of these games we finished, right? But like this one we haven't finished. And so I haven't gotten far enough to see all the issues. But even early on, we've noticed a lot of the very sort of like... very, very obvious pacing issues, very, very obvious sort of like... Nah, I don't know how to explain it. So like, not like pacing in general, but maybe like the writing issues or like something, like, or like the way the whole package is, right? Like it's definitely missing something that the other games had. It still has some elements of it here and there, but you feel so constrained to like these like maps almost that it feels weird. But I still put it up here because I actually did still enjoy playing it, right? Again, I'm a bit of a sucker for space things. You'll see that very soon. There's a VOD I haven't released yet on the full playthrough channel. I'm so sorry. That will come soon. I just haven't had time. This is literally the only free day that I've had, and last night, so since the holiday started. But even despite all the game's issues, I really enjoyed what it had to bring to the table. At its core, it's, you know, it's a very flawed and very basic space sim kind of game. Like it has very basic sim elements of like, you can kind of trade, you can kind of sell things, you can kind of move things around, you can build your own ship, you can go around, see these different planets and see these different environments. And they dress it up decently well, right? You have a lot of NPCs walking around, so it feels more populated, even though there's only maybe like a handful of talkable ones. But even then, I still enjoyed what that basic sort of like formula had, right? I'm just a sucker for that kind of gameplay. Even though the gameplay is very, very basic, I enjoyed the accessible package of it, I think. And that's one thing that Bethesda does very, very well, is just sort of like accessible games, right? Because you have RPGs like Dark Souls where it's not really accessible. It's very sort of like niche in that you have to really enjoy getting your ass kicked. And then you have RPGs like Skyrim, where you just go in and you spend an entire game session disrobing people, right? We're at the point where we're starting to get really weird in Starfield 2, where I'm starting to get to the point where I can disrobe people as like, well, I don't know why. I don't know why I always disrobe people in every single Bethesda game. But you give me the option to make someone naked, I'm gonna make someone naked. Listen, you're telling me I can take someone's space helmet off in the middle of a fight? Why wouldn't I? Phantom Liberty is very similar as well. I enjoy the gameplay elements a lot. I've actually been playing this a lot offline, not to do the story, but just to mess around and like collect experience and just like see how the new systems play out. It's actually a very fun sandbox game now. So if you treat the game like a sandbox, Phantom Liberty I think adds enough elements to where the game is passable now, right? It's not like the best sandbox in the world or anything, but it is fun. It's fun to walk around, and yes, you get to see different elements now. Things actually start to play out, and like yes, you get to see the complexity of the systems that they built sort of like start to mesh together. It still is places where it sort of falls apart. And the writing, at least so far, I you know, in what level of our playthrough there is, but I finish more of it. I enjoy the angle that it's going for. I really do think a thriller, sort of noir style, sort of like crime deal involving the president is a very good angle to go for. In a universe like Cyberpunk, right? In a game like Cyberpunk, in you know, a narrative structure that is all about mystery, that is all about intrigue, that is all about cunning. I think the what they're setting up is extremely interesting to me. And you know, again, this is really up here though for the gameplay elements. I actually think they introduced so many different gameplay elements that it made the entire experience more and more palatable, more palpable, way more fun than it was before. Slater Princess, you already know why. This game has been a very interesting treat. It's one of those one-shot games that we played this year, one-shot visual novel. The writing is fantastic. And actually, I played it at the wrong time. This actually may surprise you. When I played it, you may remember that all the voices were different levels and like stuff. Literally a week after, they released a patch where they said, hey, we redid all the voices in the game, so now everything sounds good. And I was like, fuck! So yeah, that entire recording is scuffed. But hey, we had a lot of fun with it. And I still think about all these different choices that we have made. It's one of the more choice heavy games that we've ever played. And I actually think it might be one of the most choice heavy games, right? Because other games, other visual novels like The Murder of Sonic and like these four are literally like the different scales of like how complex your choices can be, right? Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog has no choices. You're railroaded into saving Sonic. You have very light detective elements, but the elements aren't actually interactive, they're narrative, right? You're just there to see how it plays out, and you're just there to discover and like unfold what was already written. It's a bit like flipping cards on a table, right? Your hand has already been dealt. It's just up to you how you want to flip the like, cards, in what order, and to see eventually what your cards wind up being. But it's already been decided for you. Love is All Around introduces a bit more choices, but you're still railroaded into a very basic sort of structure of like, find someone, meet someone, love someone, really love someone, right? That's really all you're trying to go for, right? The Coffin of Andy and Lele starts to sort of like break this down, where the choices become a lot less obvious, right? They still have like a very obvious bend towards them, and like, but there's a lot of interactivity with how you can do your like choices, right? You actually get to choose a lot of like which track you want to go on to, right? And there's a lot of ambiguity that is now sort of being introduced to your choices. I never knew what the fuck I was gonna do in Slay the Princess. I never knew what the fuck was gonna happen. Every single choice was like a life or death situation. I was like, okay, what do I do here? Like, should I save her? Should I kill her? And like, what does it all mean to kill her? What does it mean to save her? What if I go over here? This was one of the most interesting visual novels because it had such a sense of exploration, right? A visual novel tends to be a very difficult format to get that sense of exploration in because it's so guided in its narrative structure, right? But a game like Slay the Princess, it felt like we were exploring so much. Like we were actually going through a lot of different elements, and we were sort of like seeing things. We were just trying to like, we were able to like try things out. We were able to sort of like go into weird unseen corners of the world, and like, oh, the entire world is like unraveling. Oh, there's a weird hand figure trying to talk to us. Oh, there's like a bird figure inside the mirror. Oh wow, what's some elements of something? The princess is some amalgamation. Like, what's going on, right? And what's crazy is that when they released the patch for like the new voices, they also released stats of like who everyone's favorite princess is. There's a princess I've never seen in there. Like, everyone's favorite princess is the Thorn Princess. I was like, who? I've never seen her. So apparently there's like, there's a lot of different princesses that you can meet. And we've only barely scratched the surface of this game. We may go back to it eventually because I do want to try out the new content as well. Because there's a new princess and a new ending as well. So I do want to try it some more. But it's hard to sort of like find time for it, but we will try to, basically, is what I'm trying to say. We'll get into that in the 2024 section. But I think, at least for this game, this game is up here on this list because it does a visual novel style so well, and with the level of like narrative freedom and interactivity that I wouldn't have expected from such a constrained format. It's a very exploratory game. I actually really loved it. Remnant 2, you already know how it is. I love banging my head against walls. You've seen me play hard games for no reason other than it's just fun and hard. I killed the devil with golf. Mind you, I had to turn off the monsters because like I got annoyed. I just wanted to see the story. Okay, maybe I am a little bitch. Sure, but Remnant 2, I like the formula of Dark Souls. I kind of hate how basic the gameplay can be, and I hate how sort of like different elements of the game sort of like get like boring. And magic is basically slower guns, right? So why don't you just add guns and more weirder melee weapons, and you add different kinds of, interactive elements and mechanics to your game, and you basically have Remnant 2. You also have like a weird story of like, like humans far in the future when we're taken over by some extra dimensional force. And you end up with this like interesting package of like, stuff to play with, right? It has flaws, obviously, right? Sorry, I'm kind of gassy. We're actually talking a lot. Like, we see the problem and the limitations of just having guns, because eventually certain types of guns will always overpower other guns, and eventually at high difficulties, certain choices kind of like get nullified by your playstyle, right? Like, I'm a very sort of like hit and run kind of guy, so it's like easy to like play with just a sniper rifle. But even then, it was a lot of fun to see how the elements would sort of like play out, to see how, the story would unfold, and to see just how complex the gameplay could be. And, we've only barely scratched the surface of this game. We haven't even done the DLC, which I will actually finish soon. Again, this is on the list of games to finish. This is the DLC portion, but I really enjoyed just the twist on the actual Souls-like gameplay formula so much with the guns, because they actually work it. They work the fact that you have a gun into the rest of the game very, very well. Usually when Souls-like games add different weapons, you notice this even in like the mainstream Souls-like games. Like in Elden Ring, I remember using magic and I'm like, this feels kind of broken. Like it's A, not fun. It's very, very much not fun because nothing actually threatens you when you have magic. B, it's also very easy because nothing really knows that you can do magic, and so like magic just kind of like tracks everything, right? Like it feels weird to like play with like magic. It's either too strong or too weak. In Remnant 2, even though I had a gun, like an actual honest to god plus 15 sniper rifle, I felt like I was the one losing. I was the one dying the entire time. And that, you know, is a testament to how well they've designed the gameplay's encounters around you having a gun. And it's not like every other enemy has a gun. I think we only saw 2 or 3 enemies with like guns in this game about guns. Right? In a game about guns, there's only 2 or 3 enemies with guns. Everyone else is just a monster with a sword of some kind, and yet every single one is terrifying. There's magic flying at you. The gun is useless. It's terrifying, and it's because of that though that I think this is, you know, so high up on the list. It's just such a good take, and they executed it very, very well. I'm very curious to see if this game will get more updates, because if you don't know, the publisher Embracer Group has been laying off many portions of its staff. I'm curious if they'll get hit. I hope not, because it's very, very good. But I hope that they do add more stuff to it, because I think they have a lot of DLC planned for it. I think at least 3. So I'm very excited to see how this game will evolve, and we need to finish every single one. Pseudo Regalia. Okay, this one came out of nowhere. I knew about it because it was recommended to me on the Steam very, very early on. Alpha Rad has made a video on it now. He says it much more eloquently than I can. But basically, it is the only game that I've played where movement is actually fun. Right? It reminds me a lot of playing Super Mario 64. And I never even played Super Mario 64 as like on the original 64 hardware, because I never had the Nintendo 64. But I remember playing platformers for a long time, even like Okami or something, just like that 3D sort of like third-person movement platforming game. And I always thought, wow, this is shit. Like I always thought this is absolutely awful. In a game like Okami, where you're playing as a dog that can climb walls, who's a literal sun god, right? You can literally paint entire buildings into existence, basically at predefined spots. But still, it still felt very clunky. But when I played Super Mario 64 on the DS in the remake, I was like, wow, it's actually like very, very fun to sort of move around. You get a lot more of these gameplay elements. And then you play Super Mario Odyssey, and you're like, wow, like honestly, that game's platforming is amazing, right? And you know, you have so much fun just sort of exploring the like map, doing different moves, and just sort of like seeing how these different moves sort of layer up into each other to build up even more complex movements chains, if you will, right? And it's fascinating to see how Pseudo Regalia, I think, does that even better, and in a way that's very easy and accessible to like a mouse and keyboard style of play. This is the only platforming game that I think works very, very well on mouse and keyboard, because most games on mouse and keyboard, I keep hitting the mic, I'm so sorry, tend to be a bit too clunky, right? The camera controls tend to be a bit too way out of sync with like what you want it to like do. Like it'll either track your mouse traveling or track your character traveling. Pseudo Regalia felt like a movie game that felt perfect, right? Nothing else about the game really mattered. I'm just saying right now, nothing else about the game mattered. The story didn't matter. Us killing the princess didn't matter. Us finding those weird people in that weird like place where they're unfinished didn't matter. A lot of stuff didn't matter, but the gameplay was so interesting and fun to me that I couldn't stop playing it. We finished the entire game in a single session, basically. And it all came down to just how smooth and fluid the movement was. This is one of those games that I didn't expect to be so fun either, because you look at it and you're like, oh wow, you know, can it really be that fun? A 3D Metroidvania was like done multiple times. There's been 3D Castlevanias for like the PS2 and stuff, and they're hot ass, right? They're actually hot garbage. But this actually does it very, very well. And actually, it was a lot of fun being able to sort of explore, get these different powers, eventually get strong enough, and then go all the way. You know, this is why I like indie games a lot. These weird experimental indie games sort of like do interesting things and do them very, very well. They're so high up on my list because like I feel like it's the space where you're not held back so much by sort of like a level of bureaucracy or how do I say this? Yeah, corporate needs to the point where the gameplay suffers. It feels like the space where you can really innovate with the gameplay. Another indie game that's very similar to that actually is Cordosis. This is a weird one. This is like, one of the few indie games I put up here that like wasn't really played much and it really didn't have much to it. But this experience stuck with me in my mind because it was actually terrifying. I love aliens. I don't mean it like that. I'm not. It's not like that. It's not like I'm gonna be the guy who's gonna talk to the aliens and like rizz up an alien. I'm just saying, I love the idea of aliens showing up just out of nowhere. There's this movie, I forget what the movie's called, and there's a scene where the guy is in his closet. This is gonna be weird. He's in his closet watching his TV, and he sees a clip of an alien at a birthday party, and he's like, that shit terrified me. Okay, Cordosis captured that feeling. It's that feeling of the unknown. It's a feeling of like coming into contact with the unknown and not really understanding what's like going on. The gameplay itself is nothing to speak of, right? This game is entirely atmospheric world building. This is entirely a world building game, and I can't believe that it's not done to this level more, because I feel like there's a lot of different games that sort of try for this, right? Think of Fears to Fathom, right? It's a very good game series, and I really enjoy playing it for Halloween. But the horror didn't stick with me. It didn't really sort of like feel horrifying. And I don't know if it's because of the subject matter or because of how it's executed, but I'm leaning more towards how it's executed, because Cordosis never really showed you what the aliens were like. They simply teased the possibility. They teased the possibility that these things were out there, that they were haunting you in some way, but they never really showed you. They simply said, watch out, they're coming for you. And I think that was what sold the experience so well for me. It's why it's so high up. Dave the Diver is also something like that as well. It's not very innovative, right? It's a bunch of games meshed up into one. It's a Cooking Mama. No, it's not. It's not Cooking Mama. It's Insane Aquarium, as well as a Feeding Frenzy. Is that the same game? As well as what's that? Dynadash, right? As well as a 2D. I don't know how to explain it. Like a 2D roguelite. It's so many different genres in like one. But it executes on each one so well that the entire package becomes very, very entertaining. And the writing and the animation. My god, the animation. Whenever Bancho does this like knife thing, and the fish inside the fish tank is like, oh my god, I'm gonna die. That shit always cracks me up. Always. And something like that, it's so fascinating to see, because like, if you took any of those singular game elements, each one could be its own game, right? Like Dynadash, I don't know, or even just like the catching fish part. Like, we played an entire game about catching fish. Cat goes fishing. And that was amazing. And that's basically all of the entire fishing portion of like Dave the Diver 2. Basically, if you forget the rest of the elements. But the fact that it packages everything up into like a singular cohesive experience that all ties into each other, that all feeds into each other. It feels a bit like playing like a very complex sort of like RPG or idle game, but you don't feel that way because the entire thing is wrapped up in like a comedy script. And the comedy script is like insano. It's also a very like chill kind of vibes game where like, while the gameplay mechanics can be difficult and there's a lot of things going on, for the most part you're just vibing, running your own sushi restaurant, just seeing how things go. We're gonna be finishing this game as well in 2024. I didn't expect the segment to go on so long. Sorry, I just, oh god, I didn't expect this to go on for so long. I thought I would be done by now. This was supposed to be a 30-minute segment at most. Baldur's Gate 3. We've only gotten to Act 2, okay, or Act 3. I don't even know where we are anymore. But just from the quality of that first act alone, you already know that the rest of the game is going to be a banger. Okay. I've said before that, I really like games with a lot of interactivity. I find that games, in general, the one advantage that games have over things like stories or movies is the interactivity. That is the key element to a game that makes it different from all those other things, right? You can't, in most cases, decide how a story is going to go in a book. Some books do that, like those choose your own story books, right? But even then, they're very, very limited in what they do, because they're mostly limited by the format, and they're mostly limited by how much you're able to sort of or how much you need to sort of fill in the blanks yourself, right? And that genre of book is so few and far between that it's basically non-existent now. Most everything that you read, most everything that you watch is usually a guided narrative experience. It is entirely pre-written down. You're just there to watch it unfold. Games allow you to change the structure of it. They allow you to decide how it unfolds. They allow you to make the origami. That sounded way cooler in my head. It's for the same reason why I thought Slay Princess was fantastic. The amount of interactivity and like exploration. I thought Baldur's Gate was like that times 100, right? And that's just from Act 1, okay? We haven't even seen Baldur. Like, we don't know who Baldur is. We haven't even seen their gate yet. Their gaping gate. And I can't wait to see their gaping gate, because in what little that we played of this game, which was also a lot, it was like 6 or 7 sessions, we've had so many like consequential choices, so many different things that we had to do, otherwise things were going to be terrible, right? Like, and just thinking about the possibilities of things that could have happened, my mind is boggled. Like, I feel almost overwhelmed knowing that there's so many choices, because like, I can't believe that all these things could have ended up so differently had we just decided not to reload after I accidentally killed the gnome who was tied to the windmill, or if I didn't kill the pregnant lady out of anger, or if I didn't accidentally kill the head druid, or if I didn't accidentally aggro the entire goblin camp, or it's so many different things, you know what I mean? Or if I didn't accidentally aggro the people inside the like base when I try to steal their stuff, you know? So many things, right? There are so many things. And I think if the Act 1 is any indication of what's going to come, I can't imagine that this game doesn't get more and more complex as the game continues onward. Because just for that Act 1 alone, all those choices and the feeling that I just described, you just know that the rest of the game is going to be just as complex. It's just going to have even more levels of interactivity that, you know, you don't find in any other game out there, right? And you'll see other games further down in this list that have, you know, that attempt this level of interactivity, and even they fail to get to this level. There are so many little things that you can do in this game that sort of change everything, even like minor story details that you wouldn't even think of. You know, it's why it's so high up. I feel very immersed in this game because of the amount of choices that I have. It's not because of the perspective, right? Like, if it was first-person perspective, sure, I'd feel more immersed in like a visual level. I feel immersed because I have so much control over what happens. I feel so in control of the story that's unfolding that feels so unique to us in our playthrough. And that's all the games I like from 2023. Now, again, this is not the only games that I liked. These are just from the games that released this year. Even some that didn't really release this year, like these. This was early access. World of Horror. This was early access. Lucid 2022. I just include them because I only played them and they released when I played them in 2023. But there's a lot more games that we played. A lot. I forgot to include Road Warden on it. Just imagine the Road Warden is on this list too. Okay. We'll talk about Road Warden first. Okay. Not many games come close to that Baldur's Gate level 3 level of like interactivity. But a game that comes very, very close in my mind that, you know, doesn't have as much, you know, complex interactive mechanics is Road Warden, right? That game is a narrative masterpiece, right? It is probably the best choose your own story adventure game that I've ever played. And the crazy part is that it's wrapped up in an interface that you wouldn't think would be so dynamic, right? The way Road Warden is like played is it doesn't feel like a truly dynamic game, right? You would think that you're very much railroaded because you only have a set number of choices and you can only type certain things, right? But the way that the story is like written is fantastic. There's so many open ends that you can explore. There's so many different tangents that you can sort of go on, and the game reacts to everything that you do, right? And sure, you do things in very predefined ways, right? In Baldur's Gate 3, you can decide on the granular level, like, do I tell Astarion to kill the pregnant lady because she wanted to sell her child to a green hag? It's like, yeah, I can. Or I can tell her to push her off the cliff. Like, yeah, I can, right? Or I can tell her, or I can like throw her in, right? Like, there's so many different options, right? Road Warden is more like, oh, do this preset number of things and do like this and that. But still, there's so much choices in that game that you feel that level of interactivity. It comes so close to that level of like freedom that you expect from a game first narrative experience, right? Because again, a lot of stories are written in the game to sort of just guide you through it, right? Something like Astra Libra, which we'll get through. We're just seeing how it unfolds. But a game like Road Warden, where you actually get to decide how the story unfolds, that's very, very rare. Right? So rare that there's only 2 of them that I can think of, Baldur's Gate 3 and Road Warden, which I forgot the image for, sorry. It's because of that reason that like it's very high up on the list. It would actually be somewhere here. Wildermyth is actually very similar as well. But I think the value of Wildermyth came from the stories that we made together as like a stream. We put many chat members through the fire, yeah? Quite a few of you are strong. Somehow Nightbot is stronger than all of you, and I don't know why. I just know that Nightbot happened to accidentally get... Listen, it is just the most canon choice for Nightbot to get the... It was the most canon choice for Nightbot, a bot, to get a lightning arm. I'm sorry. But at least some of you are werewolves. Some of you have wings. I'm currently locked up in a slime tank. I'm actually connected to all the machines right now. I'm dead. My personification, my Wildersona is dead. Okay? But it's those stories that you're allowed to make with this game and the freeform structure of it, as well as like the dynamic events that happens between random characters that makes the entire experience so fun, right? Because it kind of forces you into these like weird sort of moments. It feels more Simsy than like Sims, if that makes sense. Imagine playing Sims 4 if you could kill someone and you had to kill people to survive, right? And you had to go through a fantastical story, and like your like kids like would just force on you at some point, right? Stuff like that. Especially why Wildermyth is so fun. This is a weird one. Soap soup. Soap soup is that. So how do I explain this? It's a video where the guy said, "I'm glad I skipped over this because this was shit." Somebody commented on the video and was like, "I'm glad I skipped over this VOD because this was a shit game." I was like, "Dude, come on, man." Sorry, I had to take a sip of water. My like throat's hurting. But Soap was a mod for the game Soup, which was an old school Japanese game. It was like it was that game where we walked around and there was like different rooms that we would enter in. These square rooms with like different sort of like music playing and like images on the walls. It wasn't really a game. It was more of like an interactive gallery experience. But I enjoyed it specifically for that. I thought the different artistic elements that people played with and the different scenes that people made were very fascinating to sort of like witness. It you know, I've talked about this a lot, but I find virtual spaces to be so fascinating because they allow you to have an endless amount of fun in a way that reality can never come close to, right? It's a bit like VR chat, which isn't on this list, but it probably would have been if it wasn't just really more of a platform than anything. But the ability to go into a virtual space and just sort of like immerse yourself in that space and just sort of like just hang out there and just sort of see what's like going on, and you know, this game doing that but also doing it in the form of like a GeoCities website, I thought was fantastic. It was a very good choice of medium. It was a very good method of execution. It was a very good set of concepts that I think worked out well, and it stuck with me because all the different experiences were very cool, and it showed me a really good song. One of the songs that was played there, that video can't be monetized. It's actually blocked in entire country. My bad. But because one of the songs there is a banger. Anything by Akuma Kira. So I didn't put any of his games. I just put anything by Akuma Kira. This was the year when I realized there's a lot of developers I want to play games from. Also, anything by Nemle, the person who made the Cosmos of Annie and Lele. Anything by Hideo Kojima, obviously. Anything by Keizo as well. Basically, this was the year when I also found a lot of different game developers I really like. I tend to keep track of game developers as well, because like usually if you like one project of theirs, you're probably gonna like other projects of theirs, and this has not proven wrong yet, right? We've played Lost in Vivo by Akuma Kira. I've also played the Virgilius game by him, Virgilius. Like every single experience that he's ever made has been very fascinating, and I'm all down for the Akuma Kirian multiverse of like horror. I like just the idea that somebody made their own sort of like mythos of like horror, similar to like, you know, the Lovecraftian horror genre. I think it's fantastic, right? It's a very interesting sort of like bold move, honestly. It's in any sort of creative space to make your own sort of like genre of like something, to introduce your own sort of like overarching elements, right? It's a bit like, because like nowadays if somebody makes like a Sherlock Holmes, right, like their own version of like Sherlock Holmes, of like a titular character that's like in like multiple different adventures that has their own personality and like history, they would probably never find a publisher for like, you know, no matter what. It's simply too hard to like sell. But you know, Akuma Kira decided to or is it Kira Akuma? I don't know. Anything by Kira. Forget the Akuma. Maybe I was playing too much for Street Fighter. Anything by Kira. Okay. The fact that they did that and they executed so well on it to the point where like I'm trying to find threads between different games is a testament to how well done it is. I probably just said the same thing twice. Sorry, my brain's kind of like boggled at the moment. Omori was fantastic. Again, I'm a sucker for stories that involve family members dying. Spoilers. I don't know. Listen. It's implied spoilers. It's implied spoilers. If I like these games, I'm gonna tell you why I like them. Okay? And if it's because someone's sister dies, then that's the way it goes. All right? I hope your sister doesn't die. I hope my sister doesn't die. I hope no one's sister dies. But the game, God, I sound so bad. I sound evil. What I'm trying to say is the game is a narratively fascinating game. It's very interesting. It's not a masterpiece, right? It's a very sort of like basic sort of like story structure, but it's the topics that it deals with, again, are very rare that you never really see games deal with. It's very sort of like humanistic elements that you're trying to go through, and the way it integrates into the gameplay as well, the choices that you can make within the game, though they're very preset choices and they're not within the very fabric of the game's design, similar to like Undertale. They're still present enough to where you get the sense that like they really did pay attention to how your actions in the game would actually play out, to how the narrative would like change. And I spoiled myself on the rest of the ending, sorry. But I now know that there's multiple different endings to this game, and they vary by a lot. They vary from each other by a significant amount. And it's all down to the choices that you make inside the game. It's a very narratively strong game. The narrative is a very painful narrative. It pulls at your heartstrings. And the way that it allows you to interact with it, and the way that's able to play out in terms of like how complex it like gets, is why it's on this like list here, right? It made me cry. It's kind of like a very low bar to get on this like list, and I didn't want to put every game that made me cry on this list, because I feel like there's been quite a few that have made me cry, right? But this game didn't make me cry for the sake of making me cry, right? This game didn't make me cry just because it forced feelings on me. It made me cry because it really made you empathize with the characters that were in the game and what they were going through. It made you empathize with what was happening to them, and it made you realize the complexity of what was going on. And then it throws in some weird elements to it. Like the horror elements was done so well, and the psychological sort of like elements that it was playing with were so interestingly done. I don't necessarily say well done, because I don't know if it's very accurate, but it is at least a very interesting take on it. Puts this pretty much at the very top. I don't really know how to. I don't really know how to explain it. Again, we didn't finish all these games, so again, just bear with me. Policenauts. I was able to recover the save file. So I lost the save file. That's why we couldn't play it for so long. I recovered the save file just from the amount that we played. This is a Hideo Kojima game through and through in terms of the story. And again, I love anything that he makes, but this game in my mind still a lot, and I still think about it very, very often, that I want to finish this game as part of as a gear, because there's something about this game that the way the story is playing out, it feels like you're playing a noir detective thriller, right? Through what is effectively a point-and-click adventure game, which I think is a fantastic genre for that kind of storyline. And it's written by Hideo Kojima, it's not written by him, it's produced by him. But the writing has so many different elements that you find in other things that he's produced. And I'm assuming, I wonder if it's the same writer on all of his other games too, because it feels very, very similar, right? The elements that they play with, this idea of exploring the intimacies of human relationships, breaking them down, and figuring out what exactly does it mean to trust something. What does it mean to sort of be able to move on from something? What does it mean to be able to to be good or to be bad in the grand scheme of things? That's a very complex topic to tackle that I think it does very, very well. Most games, when they do a very sort of binary sort of decision of this is good or this is bad. Even in just the little that we played of Policenauts, you don't really know what's going to happen. Everything just feels different shades of gray, right? Like that Witcher 3 line. Good, evil, I see nothing, whatever. It's just all shades of gray to me or something. I don't know. But I will be playing more of this soon, very, very soon. Astra Libra, I'm a sucker for Castlevania-like games. I'm a sucker for side-scrolling games. I'm a sucker for platforming RPG games. I'm also a sucker for games that have weird fucking storylines about time. You may be surprised that Christopher Nolan is one of my favorite directors, not because he's a very good director, his stuff is visually appealing, and the concepts are cool. It's all because of time, baby. But yeah, no, his stuff is good. But basically, Astra Libra just feels like that. It feels like a trip the entire time. You don't really know what you're getting into, right? Again, I got the game because it looked like a fun RPG. I got the game because it looked like a fun side-scrolling RPG, and all of a sudden, bam, time travel. Bam, we don't know what's like going on. Bam, what is the truth? What is true? Oh, what is false, right? Bam, amazing Castlevania gameplay. It feels so inspired by so many different things that you have something that you can enjoy from it. It's obviously not the most serious thing, right? Because it has different elements, like the whole love thing. When we saw the witch in her underwear, or in the bikini, when like stuff like that, right? Or like when the game gets a bit like weird with certain concepts, like talking to like a child or something. I was like, what? Like this. The game has weird writing elements, like very typical of this kind of like style of like game, or style of like narrative story written by I don't know, just the way it's written reminds me of like a certain type of genre of like stuff that I can't recall what it is, but it's a very specific sort of subset of like anime stuff that you recognize immediately. Even though it has those like flaws, it's still a very enjoyable experience because the whole package really works well together, I think. And it's crazy too because like again, this one came out of nowhere. This one was just recommended to me by like Steam, and I was like, oh yeah, if you like Bloodstained and stuff like this, then you might like this. And I was like, cool. Minecraft, you know how it is. We played Minecraft a lot. I stopped playing it because like we had so many different games to go through during the year, and I had so little time. I'll get into how much time we have in 2024. It's gonna be good news. But we'll be revisiting this eventually as well. Again, you can't go wrong with like block game. Just going around, building stuff, just hanging out and stuff. It's very, very fun. Half Sword. This is not a full game. This was just the demo. I only put this game up here. I'm not even going to lie to you. This is the shortest review of a game ever, because it revealed how much how much of a psychopath I am. Greener grass awaits. This game had a fantastic concept. This one stuck in my mind very, very well. Okay, this actually should have been in the 2023 section, I think, but I couldn't read numbers last night. Sorry, it was like some of these were late additions. Like I was basically trying to edit this and I forgot to edit the text, but this was one of those late additions that I just didn't know how to really categorize. I can't believe somebody made golf so terrifying. Golf seems like the most boring sport ever, okay? And yet when this game came out, I was like, wow, there's no way golf can be a terrifying game. And yet I felt like this was the only game of golf that actually mattered. It felt like the most tense game of golf I've ever played. Like, if golf was actually like this, I would have so much fun. Factorio. You already know why. Again, I'm addicted to strategical logistics games. And this game in particular has been absorbing my life. I've played another 12 hours off stream. The entire base is now surrounded in turrets, and that's all you really need to know to understand why I love this game so much. Basilisk. Again, this is like a Kumakura game, and I put his name here, but like I want to call this one out specifically because I thought this game was fantastic. Okay. I've never seen a game take this concept before. This idea of like an unfinished quote-unquote game, and you exploring an unfinished game and like trying to figure out what's like going on, what is the mystery behind it, spanning 2 different games, right? And then on top of that, the second game, Basilisk 2000, providing you a file that you can play in the first game is insane to me. It's like, what? The amount of metagaming sort of elements in it, and the amount of creativity that goes into like a product like this, into like an interactive experience like this, like this to me is like this to me is peak gaming. This to me is like peak game design. This to me is peak interactive software, right? Because this is the kind of thing that I think more games should try to strive towards in terms of like being able to play with the idea that you are a game. Right? Like you are a computer game, and not just in the sense of like breaking the fourth wall. I mean, quite literally, like you are a game, and like, well, what does that mean in the context of everything else? This game was able to make you really sort of like pay attention and like be aware of the fact that you're playing with a piece of software. And then on top of that, the storyline that it like presented to you was absolutely insane, and the way that it allowed you, or the way that it forced you to sort of explore on your own terms and try to discover details. I think I said this when I was playing it, but I don't think the game would have worked in any other format. If it was a text adventure game or a point and click, it wouldn't have been as impactful. The fact that you had to really explore and see things and find things on your own to really be able to understand what is going on, that to me made this entire experience stand out. It's why it's here on its own list, but the fact that I would have put everything by Akuma Kiri into like its own bucket. It's just that good. Also, Mountain Blade is like here. Sorry, I completely forgot to read that. Sorry. Euro Truck Simulator 2. You already know why. Again, I didn't think driving trucks would be so fun. And American Truck Simulator is going to be a very close one as like well. Being able to drive a truck is a fascinating experience. I know now that I should never be a truck driver IRL because I'm going to kill someone. Because I did kill multiple people inside the game itself. But in terms of simulation game, I've played different simulation games before. I've tried Flight Simulator, I've tried different driving simulator games, and they're all very fascinating and like fun. But none of them wraps up in like such a weird, interesting experience like in Truck Simulator. I think Truck Simulator is like the least simulator game out there, in terms of like it's not just a simulator, it's an actual game framework as well. And that game framework is so good because that game framework is specifically designed around the entire trucking experience. It is one of the only simulator games that actually takes the entire experience of what it's simulating to be the game itself. Usually, driving simulators, even something like, you know, Forza Horizon, or like, you know, whatever, or Assetto Corsa, right? There isn't really much of a game to it. For the most part, it's really just there to simulate things. Sorry, I'm so gassy. But this is one of those games where, like, you're not just simulating. It doesn't feel like you're playing a simulator. It feels like you're playing a trucking game. A very competent one at that. It's just very fun to deliver things. It's why I also love Death Stranding, which I forgot to put on here as well. Mountain Blade, Bannerlord. Again, this was really just... I love the games that allow you to play in like a sandbox and give you the freedom to do whatever you want story-wise. The fact that we were able to play as Lord Farquaad, this was very high up on my list. Because what other game can you be a warlord in? And what other game can you pretend to be Lord Farquaad in? Have him execute like 50% of the entire world's lords, and then himself be executed by one of the brothers. And then Lord Farquaad's brother, his family is on a quest to avenge him. I keep losing my kingdom the day after because of rebellions. That's the kind of game that Mountain Blade is. It is probably the best sandbox experience ever. And it's not like, you know, that I didn't know this too either, because if you know Mountain Blade, then you already know that Warband was very similarly an amazing sort of sandbox experience. But I think Bannerlord does so many different additions to the experience, not just in terms of like visuals, but also in terms of like, you know, just stuff to like do, that I think it ends up being a much more accessible and cohesive experience compared to the older titles. There's still some missing mechanics, but even then, you still get a lot more, I think, simulation aspects out of this one compared to other ones, which I really enjoyed. And, you know, it's what's up there. And Dungeon Siege, because I really like just 2D ARPG games. And also, we had to finish that game too. I really like in Dungeon Siege that we had... Because this is a very early game that I streamed very, very early on. But I just never finished because there were so many different games to play. You can have a party of up to 8 people, and we're already at 4, and it feels so fun to watch people like smash things. I think we have 6 people. It's so fun to watch people smash things. I love it. And that's all the games that I liked. But also all the other 110 games I played this year. Except Suika Game, because that game, I can't beat that game. The only time I've gotten a watermelon, everything flew off the screen, and I never played it ever again. But other than that, every single game that I played this year has been fantastic. I don't think there's a single game that I've hated, right? Pretty much every single game I really enjoyed playing. And it's telling to sort of see, right? Because I remember seeing stats on this, the Steam stats of like, Steam has released about, you know, 14,000 games this year, which is like a significant amount. But, you know, it all comes from a place of like people who just want to make something, you know, magical. You know, people who want to bring something to like life on their own terms. And I'm glad that they do, because we can experience so many different things together. And you know, the amount of things that we played on the channel have ranged drastically. I don't think there's a single genre or a single style that we've ever stuck to, right? The only thing that we know for sure is that it's going to be a fun time. That because all of these games, you can really feel the amount of effort that people put into them. You can feel the soul and passion that people put into all of these games. And for that, I thank you game developers too for bringing us these great game experiences. And every single one, even though you're not on these lists, it's not that I didn't enjoy you. It's that there's 130 of you. Okay, I have the memory of a goldfish. I can't remember. I don't remember all of you. Okay, I forgot certain games on this list too. So yeah, that's the year in review. Thanks for hanging out with me. This year has been amazing. I appreciate everything that everyone's done, and the new year is gonna be fantastic as well. But I've got some news for you all. I'm done streaming. Yep, this is the last stream. I actually can't stream anymore. I've got to do things for like life. See you guys next year. I'll be busy for the rest of the year. I got to go back to work and get things going. So hey, you know what? If you want more streams, that's I have to get money somehow, guys. I have to put money towards it. So hey, this is it. I'm done streaming. See you all. I'm just fucking. There's gonna be more streams coming up. Doing all of this streaming stuff was actually a break from just my life in general. Not like that life is bad, but more in the sense of like, this is like my hobby, right? It's like, some people knit sweaters, I stream. That sounds like a Facebook post. That sounds like something that you would see on like your grandma's Facebook, right? Dude, in 40 years, I'm gonna be like, somebody's grandfather. I'm gonna post like boomer memes on Facebook 5.0, and it'll be like while you youngins are playing Gorilla Tag, I'm streaming on Twitch.tv, and it's like, okay, Grandpa, everyone streams on TikTok now. God, you're so lame. But yeah, this was really just meant to be like a break thing for me. It's become more fun than I ever could have imagined, though. So expect more content coming soon in 2024. Again, I'm one single person. I don't really know how to like do all this. You had me going for a bit there. I thought I was saying this was my last stream. Thank you. That's exactly the reaction I wanted. But yeah, it's I'm one single person. Okay, I've got a bunch of ideas, but I very much also sort of understand my limits now for this. Now I know from streaming in 2023 what my limits are. Expect the content to come. It will be slowly, but not as slow as it has been, because I actually do intend now to take this a lot more seriously, right? I say that despite having streamed 1,200 hours, but again, it's when you're doing 1,200 hours for like fun, it's like very, very different, right? And we're not gonna become focused. But I knew I would say it like this, and I knew it would feel weird to say. 2024 is the year of no limits. Exactly, yeah. Basically, not 24-hour streams, but we're not going to worry about the numbers or anything. But what I'm trying to say is I'm going to have way more fun with this now that I know what I'm doing. Now that I know from all the experience of 2023, and now that I know what I'm doing and like how to actually do things, expect this year to be a lot more organized in how things happen, in the sense of like, you're going to get more constant streams of fun coming soon. Because I've got a lot of ideas, like literal hundreds of notes and text files worth. I can't show you because so many of them have like text in them that's like very personal, like in the sense of like, I have my names and names of people that I need to hit up and like things I need to like do and like stuff. But there's a lot of different ideas that I have, and there's right now 4 folders, and each one has like 200 plus items, text files, right? That doesn't include the notes on my phone. That doesn't include the ideas I've had on my Google Drive, my personal Google Drive that I have to port over. There's so many different ideas that I want to do, and that I want to and like this is the medium that I finally found that would actually work for all of them, right? Or at least for a lot of them. And I can't wait to unleash them on hapless passers-by who happen to happen upon this stream. We are not becoming a prank channel. Like all of this is making me sound like I'm going to become a prank channel. That's why I put this note here. We are not becoming a prank channel. Well, wait, you didn't see Frog Detective? God, see? Yes, exactly. Frog Detective as well. It should have been here. Yeah. It's again, if you're not on this list, it's not because you weren't good. It's because I don't remember you. But it's also not because I remember you. But like, there's so many different things. I have the memory of a goldfish. What's your name? Where am I? Who are you? And again, bear with me. I'm one person shooting for the stars, so it'll take a while to get it all out there, given how far away they are. I can promise you one thing, though. I probably won't miss. Give up halfway through. Probably. That's all my dreams, at least. So yeah, in 2024, expect more streams, more content, more videos and stuff. There'll be a lot more coming soon. I said that a lot last year, but last year I was still trying to get a handle of like how to prioritize things. This year is gonna be it. It's gonna be a lot more fun, basically, because like now I understand how to make it even more efficient and more and like flow a lot better than it was before. So expect a lot more things like come from this year. The stream times will basically stay the exact same. The streams will still be mostly 4 to 5 days a week, and there'll be a lot more different things that I'll be doing. There's gonna be a lot more different things that in terms of like the variety of things that we're doing as well. It won't just be like games, again, more IRL streams and like stuff. Not really going outside yet, at least not until I finalize some plans. That may be later in the year, in like the midpoint of the year. But for the most part, we'll be doing a lot more different, varied types of content. So I hope that you all enjoy this stuff, and I hope that you're all here to hang out. And if you aren't, that's okay too. Again, I always say this: go live your life. It's fine. I understand life is complicated. As long as you guys are okay and you're all fine, don't worry. I'll always upload the stream so you can watch it later. Always. I'll get better on the upload schedule. But that's basically the plans for the new year: is to have more fun with all of you. Because again, this has been a lot of fun for me. And once again, thank you all of you, all the viewers who have been here. Sorry, my throat is like dying. That was a lot of talking. That's like this is like the level of talking that we usually have for like a visual novel stream, but like we're not playing a visual novel. I'm literally presenting like a fake website. Like these dashes aren't supposed to be there. These dashes are for me when I actually put this on my website later, so I know what this was supposed to like look like. But this is what I feel like. Now, also because I had 4 hours of sleep last night, I was very excited for today's stream. So, yeah, but at least I'm still excited, right? And that's the key thing. I'm very excited for these streams, and I'm very glad that you all join me on it. I don't know how to say this. Basically, I don't deserve all of you here, because again, I'm just a dude on the internet who's just playing games for like fun. But I'm glad that we all enjoy watching other people. Yeah, that's how we're gonna end it. Yeah. So yeah. Thanks for watching, and thanks for coming to my presentation. The stream isn't over yet. I just want to give this little presentation first to say as a recap, because it's the first year of 2024. Woo! I'm getting older, guys. I'm gonna turn 29 this year. 29. You know how weird? Okay. Do you have any idea how weird it is to turn 29? Okay. It's just, I don't know, it's just fascinating me how much time it goes. But this is gonna be a fun year for all of us. Okay. Thank you for coming to my presentation. That's all for my TED Talk. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I'm going to be right back because my thrusty is dying. Ah ha ha ha, old head. All the youngins are making fun of me again. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the stuff that's going to come up in this following year.